Donald Trump has been exploding over the latest legal brief in his election interference case. Special counsel Jack Smith filed 165 pages arguing that Trump's actions were private and not an official government action. Therefore, Donald Trump does not have immunity for everything that he did, according to the U.S. Supreme Court. He gets immunity if it's an official presidential action. Well, here's the latest report from ABC News about the brief that had a lot of bombshells in it.
The brief presents the fullest picture yet of Smith's case that Trump knew he lost, but lied to the American people anyway. Prosecutors claim they spoke to one White House staffer who said he overheard Trump telling family members, "It doesn't matter if you won or lost the election. You still have to fight like hell." And then on January 6th, Trump told his supporters to do just that.
Fight like hell. And if you don't fight like hell, you're not going to have a country anymore.
Smith writing that Trump is directly responsible for the tinderbox that he purposely ignited on January 6th. Quote, Trump was alone in his dining room when he issued a tweet attacking Pence and fueling the ongoing riot. Mike Pence didn't have the courage to do what should have been done to protect our country and our Constitution. Smith noting that since Trump was alone when he sent the tweet and sent it from his personal Twitter account, it would not be considered an official presidential act. Shortly after Trump posted the tweet, Vice President Pence was whisked to a secure location by the Secret Service. According to the special counsel's filing, Trump was informed by a White House staffer who hoped the defendant would take action to ensure Pence's safety. Instead, Trump allegedly looked at him and said, "Only so what?"
Your vice president might be in some danger. He might be near the mob. And Trump responds, "So what?" And that, of course, is another reason why it's J.D. Vance, who is Donald Trump's running mate, and not Mike Pence. Mike Pence didn't want to do it, and also Donald Trump wouldn't pick him because literally Donald Trump was willing and didn't care about the safety of Mike Pence on January the 6th. Well, in the reaction to this 165-page brief, again, full of evidence that Donald Trump knew and he had been told before January 6th that he lost the election, that his appeals to the courts were not going anywhere, but Donald Trump still wanted to gummy things up and went forward anyway. And again, there's more evidence than ever proving that Donald Trump knew that he had lost the election. Here's what Donald Trump said on Truth Social, and he has just been unhinged. The release of this falsehood-ridden, unconstitutional J6 brief immediately following Tim Walz's disastrous debate performance in 33 days before the most important election in history of our country is another obvious attempt by the Harris-Biden regime to undermine and weaponize American democracy and interfere in the 2024 presidential election. Deranged Jack Smith, the hand-picked prosecutor of the Harris-Biden DOJ and Washington, D.C.-based radical left Democrats, are hell-bent on continuing to weaponize the Justice Department in an attempt to cling to power. Think Donald Trump is mad? Oh, he sure is, because he knows, and I think his lawyers also know, he's going to lose this argument with Judge Chutkan. She's going to allow this case to move forward. She's going to say, okay, this was not part of your official government actions. This was private in nature. And oh, by the way, one evidence that goes to that point, when Donald Trump appeared at the January 6th rally, they did not play the official Hail to the Chief. They played the YMCA song. You can have fun at the YMCA. I know I don't do that very well. But because Donald Trump had that may be one of the reasons why Judge Chutkan rules that this was a private action trying to derail the election, as opposed to government official actions with what he said and what he did leading up to January the 6th. All because, well, not all because, but the fact that Donald Trump wanted to listen to YMCA instead of Hail to the Chief. It's classic. Now, the media has done an admirable job of reporting a lot of the new evidence and a lot of the new bombshells and nuggets, but the media has missed a couple of things. And so I want to identify part of that. First of all, Donald Trump clearly had been told by his lawyers after the November election in 2020, you've lost, the evidence is not there. Donald Trump was told this repeatedly by his campaign. He was told this by his lawyers. He was told this by his friends. He was told this by White House staff. But Donald Trump still demanded that they push forward with legal action, even though he had been told you're going to lose. And this suggests that Donald Trump thought, well, if I can just throw up some sand in the air, I can block the umpires, I can confuse enough people out there about what may or may not happen, even though Donald Trump knew he was ultimately going to lose all of these appeals to the courts, and he lost more than 80 of them. But by simply going to the courts when he knew he had no chance, when he knew he had no evidence, Donald Trump was able to essentially keep his own faithful, involved, and engaged, and thinking that maybe there was some sort of grand conspiracy to throw the election in the favor of Joe Biden, even though Donald Trump knew there was no evidence, and he was told repeatedly there was no evidence. So he goes to court, has all of these cases rejected, comes up with cockamamie excuses about, oh, well, and so Republicans and Fox News saying, well, the reason, Donald Trump didn't win in this case is because he wasn't given standing. No, the reason he didn't win was because there was no evidence, and Donald Trump knew there was no evidence. But by them going on TV and Republicans who love Donald Trump saying, oh, it was because of a technicality, that essentially inflamed Donald Trump supporters and got them even more riled up. So a lot of the media has paid attention to, what Donald Trump did on January 6th and stuff with Mike Pence. But I think there also needs to be more attention to when your own lawyers tell you this case is bull, the evidence is bull, and you say, well, let's still go to court anyway. That is remarkable. That's essentially using the court system in furtherance of your conspiracy and your illegal acts. Now, there's another part that the media largely missed, and that is Jack Smith in his legal brief. Jack Smith trolled the U.S. Supreme Court. Remember, it was the U.S. Supreme Court who ruled last spring that Donald Trump, that a president has immunity for their official government actions. Their private actions are not covered, and that's why the court is trying to sort this out. Well, here's what Smith wrote. The Supreme Court held that presidents are immune from prosecution for certain official conduct, including the defendant's use of the Justice Department in furtherance of his scheme. What Jack Smith is saying here is he's saying the Supreme Court has now given a roadmap to future criminal presidents that if you want to be protected, just have the Justice Department do it. Just have your government lawyers carry out the criminal acts and you're fine. That's insane. And that's, literally, for the Supreme Court to say that, oh, if the Justice Department or the FBI had been involved in this, then the president's immune. That's ridiculous anyway, according to so many of us. And most legal observers say that's why the Supreme Court is so corrupt, that this decision was nonsense. If you commit a criminal act, whether it's, technically while you're president or whether they play hail to the chief or not, doesn't matter. A crime is a crime. But the Supreme Court has made this carve out that no, if it's an official government act, you're covered. Well, what the Supreme Court has essentially done, and Jack Smith is putting this out there now, Donald Trump used the Justice Department. Donald Trump used the Justice Department to try to carry out what he was doing. And Jack Smith is putting out there because he can't use it now because of the Supreme Court. He can't highlight all the ways that Donald Trump used the Justice Department to try to carry off this crime because the Supreme Court has said, oh, stuff with the Justice Department, that's covered. That's immune. But Jack Smith is putting it out there in case Donald Trump wins this election and is able to essentially short circuit this case. He's putting it out there that I can't move forward with the acts that Donald Trump did at the Justice Department with firing certain people and putting other people in place who would give me the presidency and deny it to Joe Biden. Jack Smith can't put that in this case now because of the immunity ruling, but he's also pointing out to the Supreme Court, it's because of you that I can't put this in there. And he's also signaling to the Supreme Court, you have given a roadmap, a guide to any future president who wants to commit some sort of crime. Maybe they want to, do something horrific to a political opponent. Maybe they want to crack down on demonstrators, whatever it is. Just have the FBI or law enforcement or the Department of Justice do it and you're covered. And Jack Smith is essentially saying, shame on you to the Supreme Court for enabling that and for essentially drawing up a roadmap of what future criminals in the White House can do.